cool, just lying here on the floor. Cold towels, my feet against the door. How long have I been in this space? Arms over eyes, help me retrace. How did I become the doormat here? Memories spinning around my head seem pretty cavalier. Little by little you take control. It's a little uncivil how your game's emotional. And I don't even notice that I'm playing your game. Till you leave me a warning thinking I'm the one to blame. From my heart has made it pretty clear. Little by little you take control. It's a little uncivil how your game's emotional. And I don't even notice that I'm playing your game. Till you leave me a warning thinking I'm the one to
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Saturday night coverage of the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Tonight, it's the second race of the playoffs for these drivers. Last week, got to see an incredible race at Kentucky where Larry Yingling was able to steal the win away from Zach Hall. But tonight, a little bit more difficult, going to a short track, mile in length, but it's difficult on how these drivers can attack these high horsepowers on this short course. It's that of the Ramrod 140 here at North, that of New Hampshire, as the drivers get themselves sorted and ready to go. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart. Trevor, after last week, the interview certainly got interesting, hearing Zach's point of view and just feeling like he self-destructed on losing last week's race. But luckily for that driver, he finds himself still being the points leader heading into tonight.
It came in tonight with an 8-point lead, and Not looking particularly fast here in practice, but for Zach is saying he's got to shake off those demons from last week, regroup, and get back out there and see if he can put in a good performance here tonight to keep that points gap that he has over that of Brian Johnson and Larry Yingling. But tell you what, that 68 looks pretty fast again here tonight, just based off of practice times.
He certainly does. That of Larry Yingling, hoping to get another win here in the playoffs. Also, missing out on last week's race, Vincent Sora. He was not able to run last week as he had prior obligations. But tonight, the 15 is back on course, and he could be playing either assistance or being very much a hindrance to some drivers. If we see the 15 just walking away with a lot of wins here in the playoffs, he's got himself a 42-point deficit coming into tonight. He's practically out of a chance for a championship. We saw his chances going back to back to back. Not going to happen here tonight, but we could be seeing either Larry Yingling, Zach Hall, Brian Johnson. Who knows who could find themselves getting the championship. Again, we still have 3 more races after this, as it's in a chase format, meaning it's a collection of points throughout the first of these 5 races in the playoffs to see who gets that first place prize here this season. Drivers are underway with qualifying. Ryan Bird, Corey Ennis, Cedric Hunter are going to be your top runners, as Tom Sinchek, who knows to be fast here at New Hampshire. Top of the board currently as drivers are getting their times in. We watch the 27 of that's going to be Jonathan Cogswell as his first lap clocks in, 4th fastest currently. Let's see if we can advance that here on lap number 2.
Yeah, not a bad first lap there out of Cogswell. You can see kind of running that middle line there through 1 and 2. See what he does down here through 3 and 4 as more times come in. Norris now second on the board. In that 38 machine. Sinchek's still the quickest. His first lap was going to be his fast lap, though. Now Stimpian goes second, but here comes Cogswell out of 3 and 4. See if he can pick up a little bit of time here on his second lap as he crosses the line. And for that of Cogswell, not going to improve, so currently going to be 6th fastest in that 27 machine.
6th fastest as other drivers are taking off on course once they got the halfway marker. As Tom Sinchek, fastest time, a 30.448 lap time for himself. That's 14 thousandths faster than Steven Stimpian, who is also very quick here this evening. Christopher North, probably one of the bigger surprises, up in 3rd. He's known for being fast at the short tracks and road courses. We'll see how much speed he has for when we get to actual green flag racing. But Trevor, here's the driver that we know to watch out for. Larry Yingling, the winner from last week. He's still got a decent hill to climb to go for his 3rd championship, but the 67 looking fast as his first lap. He is on it currently coming out of turn number 4.
Yeah, 10-point deficit to that as Zach Hall, but got the win last week. Building a little bit of momentum as the first lap. I mean, already top of the board, a 30.45 for Larry. Not sure if he's going to run a second lap here or shut it down. Looks like he's going to stay in the throttle, though, and see if he can improve on that lap. But just showing you fastest in practice and right now fastest in qualifying.
Trying to keep that speed up is the 67. Throwing it down, trying to find any little bit of extra speed as the times practically equal between that of Larry Yingling and Tom Sinchek. The advantage goes to the 67, but can he best that time as across the line? It doesn't look like he will, but still the pole award goes to 67 to Larry Yingling, and what a time for himself. Well, all other drivers are done with qualifying, so it gives us a moment to shout out some of the amazing sponsors here for the WSSR. Starting things off with a title sponsor, Roasted Gems Coffee. Roasted Gems Coffee has been the title sponsor with WSSR for the last couple of seasons, and good for good reason. For high quality coffee, premium way to set up your day, we'll go over to roastedgems.com and look at their wide range of blends that you can get today using the promo code WSSR for 5% off to start your day off right. Get yourself Roasted Gems Coffee today. And as well, big shout out to Trophy Smack. Trophy Smack the last couple of seasons has been the main trophy supplier for the WSSR. The last 2 seasons has been Vincent Sorgan, the championship, and he's gotten his own custom ring to show off to all of his friends that I've won the championship here at the WSSR. And guess what? You can do the same thing for yourself. Plenty of different customizations from championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. Head over to trophysmack.com to get your trophy to be the envy of your competitors. Thank you so much to the amazing sponsors here, as qualifying's almost done, meaning we get to check out that of Colley's mom's qualifying results to see where Brandon Colley qualified here this evening. Trevor, last week, Brandon Colley did not qualify that well, kind of disappointed his mom by finishing outside of the top 10. Let's find out where he's going to be qualifying here this evening as drivers are done, the track is reset, and let's take a look at where they are starting out here tonight at that of the Ramrod 140 at New Hampshire. Taking the pole award, going to be the 67 of Larry Yingling, practically tied with Tom Senchek, who's going to be starting in second. That is Steven Stimpian in third. Brian Johnson in fourth. Christopher Norris falls down to fifth place. Justin Lewis going to be in sixth. Seventh, Ryan Bird. Zach Hall, points leader, going to be starting out in eighth place. Ninth, Jonathan Cogswell. Eric Krullick finishing out the top 10.
And back-to-back weeks, back-to-back disappointment for Colley's mom, as Brandon Colley's going to roll off in 11th. Corey Innes will start in 12th position. Vincent Sora, after his break last week, is going to be back, and he's going to start in 13th with Cedric Hunter in 14th. Richard Wolsifer in 15th. Tyler Dingler 16th. Mark Morales 17th. And Bob Skinner and James Hackworth Jr. will round out the 19 drivers here tonight.
19 drivers expected to run here this evening. We'll see if they all are going to be starting here tonight. I know some drivers talk about complications on either internet or just trying to stay connected with that of iRacing. iRacing currently having a 24-hour endurance racing event going on right now, so their servers certainly being used up. A lot of different users are online. We'll see if these servers are going to hold up for these drivers this evening. The Ramrod 140 New Hampshire. Trevor, 133 laps for these drivers. No stage break, no fast repairs, 4 sets of tires in pit road. The drivers are about to take off, man. What are you expecting to see for these drivers in the early portions of this race?
I think we're going to see a little bit of aggression. I think track position is going to be key for these guys, and probably a lot of slipping and sliding, especially later in the run with kind of just how this track is. It's very flat, really easy to get the car out of shape, trying to get the power down out of these corners. So I expect to see a lot of cars sideways out of turn 2 and turn 4 as these runs progress here tonight.
As the runs are getting themselves prepared for these drivers. I mean, I think that's the one thing I'm excited for is when we get into the long run, how the tires are going to affect with these drivers. We've seen a couple of previews with other leagues that we've seen these next-gen Cup cars at run here at New Hampshire. It's always a handful on the exit of the corners, and will it be one of our front runners as one of those races, Wicked Racing League, Steven Stimpian, one of those that had troubles on the first lap exit of turn 2. If you remember looking a few months back on our Wednesday night series that we covered, as their championship race is done and dusted. It was great covering Wicked Racing League this season, but for the WSSR, the talent level has risen to another level. We've seen Larry Yingling growing and getting faster. Tom Senchek has proven that he can be fast here. I'm excited for this one, Trevor, on who's going to step up and try to beat Zach Hall in points.
Yeah, I think if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be that of Larry Yingling. I mean, he's just been so consistent all season long, and starting off the chase with a win and the way he did it last week at Kentucky, I mean, if he gets another win here tonight, I'd watch out for that 67.
Larry again took a hiatus from iRacing and running in the Cup cars. WSSR missed over 2 years, came back this season, and now is trying to make a heroic run to take this championship away. Green flag is out for the Ramrod 140 here in New Hampshire, as it's Larry Yingling sending it down into turn number 1. Tom Senchek trying to hold off for second place, but Steven Stimpian poking the nose as the drivers roll around the apex of the corner. Everyone staying in line as they exit out of turn number 2.
Yeah, exit out of 2, and everybody's still trying to find the positions that they can get in. Stimpian on the bottom line, losing a little bit of ground. He's still side by side with the 28 of Brian Johnson, but right to the rear bumper of the 8 of Tom Senchek. Johnson trying to look around the outside, as that's going to be the battle for third, and they're still going to be side by side out of turn number 4.
This first lap led by Larry Yingling. That's 1 bonus point to the 67. Any other bonus points you can grab, get 1 point for leading a lap, 1 point for leading the most laps, and 1 point for winning the race. Not a lot of bonus points to be grabbed, and each position is a point difference. Meaning if Zach Hall slips up badly, finishes in the outside of the top 10, or even outside of the top 5, that is going to be a big opening for some of these other drivers as Steven Stimpian gasses up instead of the corner, keeps that third place position as everyone single files out on the exit of 4.
It looks like most of the field now single filed out. A little bit of battling back behind with Brandon Colley in the 7 of Corey Innes, the 27 of Jonathan Cogswell. That's going to be the battle there for 10th through 12th position. Vincent Sora also there as they're kind of stacked up on top of one another. Looks like Sora going to try to go to the outside of Colley. A little bit of contact, but they keep it straight down the back straightaway.
Ollie and Sora, they've had their bickers these last season, this season, have had their moments, but they're 1 in 15, trying to keep it steady as Again, the one running for the championship. He's fourth in points coming into tonight. Going to be 12 points out from Zach Hall and needing some big points if he's going to find himself challenging for the championship, as he's trying to find a way to get by Corey Ennis in 11th position.
Yeah, he just hasn't quite found a way to get around him. Kind of stuck there behind the 7, and Vincent Sora also kind of stuck there. Surprised to see Vincent not really move up as quickly as probably would have thought that he would here. As Corey Ennis goes real high through 3 and 4. That's going to now allow Collie to get the run on that 7 machine and possibly get this pass done and bring that 15 with him. But Sora just going to check up and fall back in line now and see what he can do here, as Collie's going to get the 7 cleared here through 1 and 2.
Getting clear through 1 and 2, but that, you know, I'm curious for that Vincent Soares now. He's going to poke the nose underneath, as you also see the 27 in the red and white. Jonathan Cogswell trying to defend that inside lane, but Vincent Sora being a lot more patient there. And Trevor, the small different ways to save tires. I know there's not a lot to do so here at New Hampshire, but I'd imagine that's kind of what Vincent Sora is looking for with this patience.
It very well could be. Save the tires. I mean, we've seen now, I believe it's been four races, excluding the road courses, or maybe 3 races, excluding the road courses that have gone green the whole way. So could be one of those where Vincent thinks that this race might go green all the way, save a little bit of tire early in the run so you can be quicker on the back end of it for that 15, as he takes a look now around the outside of Brandon Colley.
As Brandon Colley trying to defend for 11th place, Vincent Sora trying to knock the rust off after missing last week's adventures at Kentucky. Short track racing as your first race back after taking a break. Interesting one to find your bearings as drivers all in line. It's Larry Yingling still leading the way. You might be also wondering why is some of the drivers in red and others not. Well, the drivers that are in red, those are the drivers that have made it into the top 16 in points and are currently in the playoffs. As the drivers start to make some movement up for second place, as Steven Stimpy and Tom Sinchak making a pass, as well as you see there in the picture, the pink of Cedric Hunter able to get by Corey Ennis. But the drivers in red in the playoffs, I mean, Trevor, what an honor for a lot of these drivers to even make it into the playoffs. For some, maybe it's a little bit too far of a gap, but a first caution flag comes out. We'll get back to that talking point as Tyler Dangler going to be spun around for the 19.
Yeah, 19 might have been a self-spin out of turn number 2. We'll have to go back and see if we can get a replay of that and see what happened to Tyler, but very, very possible that it might have been a self-spin for him. But first caution, Sam, and my whole theory on this race potentially going green all the way, out the window.
Well, there certainly have been other races, though, that have had just 1 caution. There's been 2 this season, 3. Yeah, Texas, that was the second race of the season, as well as Twin Ring Motegi Oval and Pocono. So, you know, we can add a 4th to that group if we have no more cautions after this, as we get ready to take a look here at this replay of the 19 machine. But it's certainly an interesting wreck, but this is something that we didn't see a lot of the drivers up front, but it's going to become an issue of the car. Just center of the corner, breaking loose.
Yeah, it might have been just a case of trying to get back to the throttle there, and it just snapped sideways on him, kind of what it looked like, and that can happen, especially here. It's really easy to do with how the track is and how these cars react, and then once they start spinning, we all know how hard these next-gen cars are to save.
They certainly are, as the 19 going to bring out our first yellow. Couple of drivers coming into pit road. That's Aaron Krolick, Mark Morales, and James Hackworth Jr. all going to be coming into pit road. Interested to see if they're going to be taking tires or not, as this field has 4 sets to work with here this evening, or if it's just going to be fuel and go. Looks like fuel and to go for James Hackworth Jr. and Mark Morales. Aaron Krolick, who qualified 10th and was inside of our top 10 during that run, taking his first set of tires. Interested to see how the 01 is going to attack this run, as they only had about 9 laps of green flag racing on these tires. It's an interesting call by the 01.
I mean, hey, why not try something different? I know Aaron's not exactly close to the up there in the driver's standings, but hey, why not try something different? See if you can gain an advantage on the guys around you. As he came in, I believe 26 points out of the championship lead. So why not go on an off strategy and see what works out for him? And it'd be interesting, Sam, to see what that 10 or what that 01 has for these guys if we get a long green flag run here.
Yeah, if we can get into a long green flag run, excuse me, has been mouth's just full right now, struggling to get words out. But before that caution flag came out, Trevor, talking about the fact of how much of an honor it is for these drivers to even make it to this point and be in the playoffs, as there was no win in your in system for the playoffs. You had to officially point your way to get to this point.
Yeah, and it was really kind of cool seeing some of the drivers that got in. I mean, James Hackworth Jr., Bob Skinner, drivers that we constantly see kind of running in the back half of the top 15. They got in. Brad Delph made it in. Rich Jamison also in Cogswell. I mean, all drivers that we typically see at the back half of the top 10, top 15, all making it in and having a chance here to run for a championship, albeit an outside look at it, but still nonetheless getting to run for a championship.
You could say at least that for some made it into the playoffs for this season, and for some drivers, season 6, this was their chance to get it done. As we're back to green flag racing for the Ramrod 140, Larry Yingling already gone, and oh no, driver gonna be spun around. That's gonna be Tom Sidchek and others. Vincent Sora tapped in, but they're off the racing line. We stay green as both drivers trying to get them their way straight, moving forward. And just like that, New Hampshire showing some fangs here in the first half of this race.
Yeah, Steven Stimpian also involved in that, and I don't know what quite happened there on that restart, but looks like maybe Norris got into the back of the 8 of Sinchek and sent him up into that of Stimpian. Vincent Sora nowhere to go in the 15, and Stimpian, as we get the replay right here, you'll see Norris just gets into the back of the 8, and then around he goes.
And Steven Stimpian, he's going to get clobbered right off the camera there, and just a few incidences shown here early, as that of Christopher Norris has taken that of the apology over the radio, saying, hey, that's my fault. But you see the tap, the contact, and then Steven Stimpian is trying to get it straightened out, but then gets tapped here by the 07 of Justin Lewis, and that's what spins him around in major issues for those drivers, which has now forced Vincent Sora into pit road. As we're looking at this replay, and it is completely thrown a loop for how these drivers are running, because there was no caution thrown. We stay green even with all that carnage.
Yeah, everybody off the racing line there, so race stays green, but a lot of time lost for those drivers. Vincent Sora having to bring it down pit road, Stimpian 17 seconds back now from our race leader, and this takes out two of the faster cars in the field and kind of gives Larry a clean runaway from the rest of the guys behind him.
Riding on board that of the 01 of Aaron Kralik, who was the driver who took tires. Currently looking at the lap times, even with trying to pass vehicles, pretty similar lap times to our leader. Aaron Kralik could be a driver to watch out for if, like we said, get into a long run, as he's trying to get by the slower drivers. As there's the 19 of Tyler Dingler, who brought out our one and only caution here tonight so far. So right on board, get a sense of what it's like for the 01 coming out of turn number 2, trying to keep it straight as we ride on board with Eric Kralik here.
Yeah, down the back straightaway, utilizing the gearbox here as he shifts up to 5th, back down into 4th as he takes the kind of the second line here through 3 and 4. Nice, easy exit back on the throttle down the straightaways. He now tries to run down that 27 of Jonathan Cogswell. Aaron already up to 11, so benefited a lot out of the calamity in turn number 1 and 2 on that restart. Is Vincent Sora, Sam, calling it a night already.
He went into pit road, sat there for a moment, saw the amount of damage that he had underneath the hood, and said, you know what, I'm not running for a championship. I don't have much to run for this evening. I'm calling it a night early with no yellow flag thrown. He was going to be around that of 6 laps down, and decided, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm calling it pulling the plug now, which is bizarre to see for these drivers, but that's what this playoff action has turned into. Is once you have one bad race, it kind of throws away any chances of really fighting for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, missing last week really kind of hurt the 15's chances at making a run for his 3rd consecutive championship. But and here tonight, I mean, more trouble for him. Pretty much eliminates Vincent from having any shot at winning the title, and it's going to be Zach Hall now, who just has to survive these next couple of races to claim his first championship. And up right now, running in 5th, he gained 3 or 4 spots with the issues in turn 2, and is the real benefactor, I think, of our playoff drivers after that incident.
And with that, I mean, Zach Hall trying to close in on this gap. He has to figure out a way, or at least trust in someone else stopping Larry Yingling, and hope that it's not a Brian Johnson, because if Brian Johnson leads the lap, that's a bonus point for that of the 28. Is 67 trying to go for at least 2 bonus points, leading the lap and leading the most laps at this current moment. We're only 20 laps into this race, though. Still plenty of action could happen this evening as that of Christopher Norris falls down to third position. What a bizarre restart, but anything can happen on these restarts with how chaotic this track can be with cold tires, how flat the track is. And just like that, it's Larry Yingling who was the fastest in practice, fastest at qualifying. And right now, the fastest car on track, trying to pull away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, just doing what he needs to do, has that clean air to his advantage. Pulling away now, Brian Johnson up to second. Only that of about 0.6 of a second behind that 67. So we'll see if Brian can try to track down Larry. Norris kind of holding up Ryan Bird. Zach Hall just waiting to see what he can do there in fifth. Brandon Colley up to sixth position, and Cedric Hunter not too far behind them, as everybody just kind of running a single file now, letting this run play out and see what they have for this long run.
As we're seeing drivers trying to find their ways to claw back, catch up to Zach Hall in points. Eric Kralik, who really threw down a very gutsy call. 9 laps of green flag racing before that first caution flag came out, taking tires, and right now running just as fast as the drivers inside of our top 2. Eric Kralik, this is a great decision, like I say, Trevor. If he's going to make a gutsy call and this race decides to stay green, this 0-1 could be a threat to go for a top 5 finish here tonight.
It very well could be. We've seen Aaron have the speed on the short run. It's been the long run that he struggles with. So we'll see if that 10-lap difference in tires can benefit Aaron here if this run continues going green here, and see how far he can make it up through the field, and then overall what this tire strategy is going to do for him. As the fuel run here, Sam, about 90 laps on fuel. We'll see if they take it that far on tires, but it'll be interesting to see how Aaron handles this long run.
And with also the fact that the caution flag came out, how much drivers willing to save fuel and where drivers saving fuel is. Ryan Bird, Christopher Norris almost making contact on the exit of turn 4. A lot of close racing between the 38 and the 49. And Zach Hall being right there in the mix. He's hoping he doesn't get caught up in anyone else's messes, as seeing the 42 as well as the 1 making their way forward. It's Christopher Norris. Just a lack of momentum on the outside. He is just not able to get back into the throttle as cleanly as the drivers on the inside run, and he is just losing ground lap after lap, and once again falls from third all the way down to 7th place for Christopher Norris, and about to lose even 7th.
Yeah, not sure if he's struggling maybe with tire wear, just doesn't feel comfortable, or just not up that high on the track, not feeling comfortable up there that high in that groove, particularly. I think he just let Zach go, didn't want to get loose and make contact with him, and in doing so allowed the 1 and 13 to get by, and then eventually lost the position to Corey, who saves it. Or I'm sorry, Justin, who saves it through 3 and 4, as he had a little bit of a half slide there through the middle of 3 and 4, but he keeps the 07 straight, and Norris trying to close back in and see if he can get that position back.
He's willing to take any type of opportunity. If you have a mistake, he'll take it right back if Christopher Norris has a chance. We're watching the 38 during practice, and I mean, Trevor, kind of surprised on how aggressive the 38 was running. I think he might have been testing with how aggressive you can bump someone without spinning them out, but he was finding the other side of the coin of how much pressure it does take to spin someone out.
Yeah, it's one of the things you can do in practice is, test the limits of it, but not the best way to make friends out there. And then having that contact that he had with the 8 of Tom Sinchek, also probably not going to help the 38's cases of having many friends, is that of Justin Lewis again with a big wiggle in turn number 2. That 07 machine not looking very comfortable on these tires right now.
Not at all, and it's really looking like it's a slide in the center of the corner, right where we saw that of the 19 of Tyler Dangler kind of bring out our first yellow. This could be a thing to watch out for. Starting to snowball in a way for the 07, which is costing time for Christopher Norris, because Aaron Kralik is closing in on the gap as the 01 has officially changed the threshold of being the fastest car on track, with the tire wear differing over, and there's quite a big drop off in the last 3 laps from Larry Yingling to the 01 of Kralik, because they were pretty equal in speed. The last 2 laps, it just completely swapped to the 01 being 2 to 3 tenths faster than Larry.
Yeah, you can just tell 28 laps now, 29 laps in the books, and all on one set of tires for our top 8 drivers. Aaron Kralik, has that 20 lap fresher advantage of tires over everybody, and 9 lap fresher advantage on tires, and you can see the differences this time by again 2/10 quicker than everybody in front of him as he closes in on this battle for 7th and 8th position between Christopher Norris and Justin Lewis.
Closing in, trying to find any little bit of an advantage to grab. Sarah Kralik seeing Justin Lewis give an opening. Christopher Norris lost the position. He'll take it right on back as he'll slide right below 0.7, and Kralik, fresh rubber, allows him to stay low, but he's got to be careful being that close to Lewis on the exit because he might do that. And around goes the 0.7, and our second caution of the day is thrown.
Same thing that happened to the 19 of Tyler Dangler, just trying to get on the power to defend his position. And on those old tires, you saw it right there, it just started to slide. And once it started to slide, there was nothing that 0.7 of Lewis could do there. Spins, does a nice little 360, gets it going straight again. And this caution really going to benefit that of Tom Sinchek, Steven Stimping in the 81. With all the time that they had lost, they're going to be able to catch back up on the field, and everybody going to come down here and take 4 fresh tires.
As 4 fresh rubber is going to be really nice for everyone, except for, I would say, for Eric Kralik, because now he's got to make the hard decision. He's already used the set. Does he want to take his second of 4 that he has in pit road on this pit stop? I would say, I mean, he's kind of forced to come into pit road. It's got to be kind of annoying on the fact that you were hoping this race would stay greener for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think if you stay out, you're going to be a sitting duck. About looking at their lap times, I mean, it was about a second and a half fall off just in that run between the fastest lap of the race and what they were running. So for Aaron, definitely going to have to come down pit road, take that second set. He's going to be at a disadvantage for the rest of the race, but we'll have to see, how much of a disadvantage it's going to put him at. I mean, if there's a late race caution, he could be a sitting duck as everybody coming down pit road for what will be their first pit stop for Aaron, his second.
Coming into pit road for Aaron Kralik, rest of the field. This really helps out Steven Stimpian and Tom Sinchek that were desperately needing a caution to get back into the mix here, as again, they got spun around on the restart. The yellow flag never came out. And luckily they didn't go a lap down. 18 drivers still out on track as Vincent Sora has called it a night. And Larry England going to keep the lead as he gets out of pit road and has a clean stop for himself. So the rest of the field gets ready for this restart. We are going to step away and take our first commercial break. Thank you very much for everyone that's been with us here this evening. You're watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series Playoff Racing, as this is the second race of the chase, as we're watching the Ramrod 140 here at New Hampshire. We'll be back right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on. is going to take it in the end.
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn one.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh my
and to
goodness.
the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series playoff action. The second race of 5 for the Chase playoffs for the season 6. As the drivers are here at New Hampshire for the Ramrod 140. Currently, Larry Yingling is leading the way. But these drivers throughout the field, a lot of different points to talk about. Brandon Colley trying to find his way to move forward, crack into the top 5. Also, the second caution of this race is enable Thompson check and Steven Stimpy get back into the mix. Both of them are deeper in the field. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Trevor Earhart as we look at these drivers that are battling around the inside of the top 10. Trevor, certainly some heavy hitters, but drivers to watch out for, especially if we have another restart. We are down to just 18 drivers out on track.
Yeah, just down to 18, and right now watching Christopher Norris try to defend off Aaron Kralik, Jonathan Cogswell, Justin Lewis. And right behind them, I mean, that is Steven Stippian trying to close back in after his, after he had that spin. He's trying to get around Richard Wolsifer, and then Tom Sinchik down there in 16th. He's trying to close in on these guys. As Cogswell, you can see, trying to close in on Aaron there and get around that 01 machine. But Sam, I mean, if there's another caution, and that 81 and the 8 can make some progress, I don't know if I'd count them out just yet, but still a long road ahead for those two to recover here tonight.
Certainly it is going to be a long road because, I mean, for them, I think it would work out if we had a couple of more cautions. It would give them the chances for better restarts and attacking, but at the same time, it puts you back into the Hornets' nest. That middle of the field is not where you want to be when you have these restarts in New Hampshire, especially with the restart zones, and some of these drivers are going to be in the corner as well as in the middle of everything if there's a wreck and coming out of turn number 2. So a lot of question marks on if we're going to get another yellow, as there are no stage breaks for this series. So that means that if we do stay green, we could stay green all the way to the very end of this race. We're seeing a couple of battles going on for that a third. Cedric Hunter and Ryan Bird battling with one another, as the one another's getting a good picture of this battle.
Yeah, Hunter diving to the inside, fly past the 49. Oh, but Bird gets into the back of him. They both keep it straight. Ryan trying to get underneath the 13 of Cedric. Not going to be able to do so. Cedric with a little bit of a slide job there and almost got himself spun out when Bird tried to cross him over, got into the back, and Zach Hall just watching on, probably a little bit thankful that there wasn't a spin right there in front of him as he holds on to 5th place over Brandon Colley. Zach just trying to survive and get as many, and try to not lose as many points to the 67 and 28 who are currently running 1-2.
I'm looking at how this field is running here tonight. I mean, for the playoffs, Zach pretty much can aim for a top 3 finish for most races, as long as the guy that wins the race isn't Larry Yingling or Brian Johnson, because the points that are expected to be grabbed by Larry Yingling, based on how the pattern of this race has been going on for these first 44 laps, this is Larry's race, and no one's touching the 67. And that means Zach Hall needs to close in on the gap so he can minimize the gap that he's about to lose on the 67, as well as the small gap that he has over Brian Johnson. As coming into tonight's race, Zach Hall had the points lead. He had 8 points over Brian Johnson, 10 points over Larry Yingling, 11 points over, it's going to be that of Brandon Colley, as well as 12 points over Tom Sinchek, 15 points over Cedric Hunter, and going to be 19 over Ryan Bird and 20 over Christopher Norris. And really our top, you could say 7 or 8 drivers in the playoffs are still in a touchable moment to go for that championship. Everyone else that has made it into our playoffs kind of just running and hoping that our top 8 just have catastrophic races or just miss a race.
Yeah, and I think if my math is correct, if it were to finish the way it's running, Larry gains 7 points on Zach based off of leading the most laps, a point for leading the most laps, leading a lap, and winning the race. It's 3 bonus points plus the 4-point advantage he would have over Zach in finishing order. I mean, that would make it a 3-point gap between Zach and Larry, and Brian would gain that of 3 points, and that would put him two
within.
points?
I would keep him with
Put him 3
Brian
points
getting
there.
3. Yeah, I would put him about 4 points out from Zach Hall. So certainly would make this very interesting for the final 3 races of the playoffs is moving forward after tonight, going to Iowa, Atlanta 2008 configuration, and finishing out the playoffs going to be at Homestead. And I think with the way the race was going last week and the fact that we saw Zach Hall dominating as much as he was, I think in the booth we kind of were getting a sense of this is all Zach Hall's playoffs until he kind of threw it away on the last stint at Kentucky last week, where Larry Yingling just dominated the last 3 quarters of that race, came back past Zach Hall late, and found himself winning and maximizing on points, and Zach Hall losing also more positions and more points to be lost. So certainly has kept the battle close. That means that this is going to still be a very interesting playoffs to watch moving forward. As tonight's race, we've got to give a shout out to the amazing sponsors that we have here at the WSSR. We've talked about them at the start of the broadcast, but if you missed on it, hey, there's some great sponsorships out there that have been helping this league for a while. And let's start things off with Roasted Gems Coffee. If you want to start your day off right, go get yourself some premium coffee from roastedgems.com. Plenty of different blends. They keep on getting new blends on different flavors that you can check out practically every 3 months. So you want to keep on looking at their rotation as Roasted Gems Coffee. Great coffee, get it today, and use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. And as well, major shout out to Trophy Smack. We've had 2 cautions, yet we haven't seen a major smack to the outside or inside wall to get our wall smack moment of the race. And if you want to know what a wall smack is, well, it's a high gloss metal piece of artwork that you can get from Trophy Smack. It's very easy. It comes with its wall-safe magnet mounting system that allows you to place, set, and if you want to move, easily move from one spot to another. And it's all customizable. If you want to show off your scheme, if you're a racer, or show off pictures, go get it today. They've got plenty of different sizes and pricings that you can get your wall smack today from TrophySmack.com. Thank you to our amazing sponsors. And Trevor, it's all that of Brian P. Johnson in second, trying to close in the gap, but it's not looking too great because behind him, Zach Hall is making some moves.
Yeah, Zach put in. I was looking at Zach watching Zach during practice. Was practicing that long road pace in that 42, probably trying to make up for the shortcomings from last week. In doing so, got around that of Cedric Hunter with Ryan Bird, and now trying to chase down that 49 and close in. And looking at the lap times, I mean, running similar pace to that of Brian Johnson, but it's still Larry Yingling, who that last time by almost 2/10 quicker than Ryan and Zach. That 67 Sam out front, that Clean Air is just pulling away from everybody.
The Clean Air is such a major factor. It allows you to a lot more pressure on the front end, allows you to have that braking and turning. With the dirty air, it kind of makes it so difficult to slow down at times, as well as make it through these corners. So right on board with Zach Hall, seeing that he's running in the second groove outside of that yellow line. And Trevor, I think it's so interesting watching the drivers and the elevation of this track with the different updates that iRacing's put to these cars, as well to the track surface, and the different lanes that this track has had throughout the couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, all the way down there at the yellow line. We've seen below the yellow line at times. I know Tom Sinchek talked about it last week in his interview, being able to use the apron in 3 and 4. We've seen the 4th line essentially all the way around the track. So we get a caution.
Caution flag, and it's going to be a driver all the way out in the back. It's the 56 of Richard Wolsifer, and it's the exit of turn 4 that we see the 56 spun around at.
Yeah, the other exit, typically turn 2 has been the danger zone all night long, but Richard getting loose out of 4, I think probably along the same lines as what we've seen with Justin Lewis, Tyler Dangler just that car unhappy on these older tires, trying to get the power down, just gets loose on him and gets away from him. But third caution of the night, Sam, and going to be interesting to see drivers if they come down pit road. And this is not what that 01 of Aaron Kralik needed. Is, I believe, if he pits this time, we'll only have one set of tires left for the rest of this race.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of racing to go. If you're that 01, if you're Kralik, you cannot afford to pit now. You have to save those tires. The rest of the field, though, they do have that option. The rest of the field is only pitted once. And we've been on these tires for about 23 laps as you see everyone lining up, prepared to come into pit road. We'll see what the decision will be for the 01, as it was a self-spin that brought out our most recent caution. I think that's what we're going to be saying a lot here tonight on our yellows, is it's going to be a self-spin or not. But Aaron Kralik into pit road there, Trevor. Interesting call by the 01.
Yeah, it's a tough call for him. I mean, he's going to have that one set of tires left, but I don't think you can afford to stay out with how much drop-off there is in tires. You'll just be a sitting duck. But for Aaron, he's going to need this race to go green for the rest of the time. But the trend is, I mean, we're going about that of 20, 30 laps, Sam, before we see a self-spin on these older tires.
I know there's a few people that would love to hear from some of the drivers here this evening. And I think there's one that we're thinking about talking to. Let's see if we can bring him up into the booth. Driver caught up in our first restart caution. And I'm curious to see what that is Steven Stimpian's thinking, Trevor, because the 81 certainly is a driver that has had plenty of different ups and downs this season, missed out on the playoffs, but a driver that looks quick here tonight and has got a long road for himself. Let's see if we can cue up the 81 machine. Steven Stimpian in the 81. It's Sam and Trevor up the booth. You got us?
What's going on, guys?
Well, you certainly didn't have the best way you wanted this race to start. Caught up in that restart incident, making your way forward, currently in 9th position on this restart. But man, how are you feeling getting ready for this restart?
I feel pretty good, man. I got some good pace here. I was kind of disappointed that happened early on. I didn't get a chance to really race Larry, but I don't know. We're just gonna see what happens here on out. Keep the tires under me, and we'll see. Hopefully, we get a long run here, and I can start picking off some people. We'll see.
I mean, Steven, how is the car handling out there? We've seen a couple of self spins. I mean, late into a run. What's the key here to saving some tires and keeping yourself going in a straight line?
Just try and back up the corners a little bit and taking it easy off, because off is where you're roasting the rears. So if you're able to keep it on a straight line off, you'll be fine. But we'll see what happens.
Good luck, Steven, on this restart.
Thanks, guys.
As we are ready to go green, as we're off here at the Ramrod 140. Another restart, and let's ride on board with the 81 machine of Steven Stimpian. He's deeper in the field and getting a sense of what it's like for these drivers. Cold tires, brand new set, everyone just put on. And now they exited turn number 2. Those hands still working back and forth, even when they're on the straightaway.
Still working. He gets a shot there from the 13 and Cedric Hunter behind him, going down into 3. Down into turn number 3, going to be side by side with the 13 of Cedric Hunter. In front of him, it's going to be Colley side by side with Kralik, Norris side by side with Cogswell, side by side here for this battle for that of 9th position. Stimpian going to hold on, try to close in on this 38, going with a little bit higher of an entry, going to try to arc it down, use that kind of third lane to see if he can get a better run on the 38. But Cedric Hunter's still there, trying to look to the inside. Stimpian going to defend that position down the back straightaway.
Been in that position, and a lot of movement of the drivers up front as the battle for second place is getting a little bit heated. It's Ryan Bird giving a little bit of a tap to Zach Hall's back bumper to keep it straight. Then at 49, under pressure is Brian P. Johnson now trying to set up for third place. And just one entry into the corner changes a real dynamic of the drivers that are up front, because Zach Hall is in a prime position looking back from these drivers, getting a sense of what it's like from that of fifth on back. From that of Brian Johnson's point of view, from that of going to be Ryan Colley's point of view, one driver going all the way down the apron. That was going to be Richard Wilsifer having issues. We keep it green. Oh, man, now, Trevor, what a restart this one was, as everyone pretty much stays in line. A lot of chaos.
Yeah, they're still beating and banging for third place. Brian Johnson, Ryan Bird, they've doored each other a couple times in this battle. Johnson gave Ryan a couple of shots to the rear bumper after Ryan got in the back of Zach Hall. And this battle still continues side by side down the back straightaway. We'll see here in the 3 and 4 what happens. Johnson got up into the door of the 49 the last time through here. This time Ryan's going to go a little bit higher. Ryan's going to have the drive maybe off of 4. Ryan with a little bit of a wiggle saves it though, and this might be the opening that Brian Johnson needed in that 28 to clear this 49.
Slight, small mistakes, but giving opportunities. Brian Johnson now going to be having the lead position as he dives it down in turn number 1. Ryan Bird not going to give any more spots for those drivers behind. Brady Colley, he might have a chance to close in on the 49 as he has not been looking comfortable on this restart. And Aaron Krolick also in 6th place. But the drama is back here with Steven Stympian, who we got to talk with under our caution break. And Steven Stympian obviously not happy on the fact that he didn't get to race that of Larry Yingling at the start of this run. But the 81, what a run for himself to at least get inside of the top 10 at this portion of the race.
Yeah, driven back up here after that I believe the second caution of the night, was able to catch back up to the field, now back up to 9th as he's going to try to chase down Jonathan Cogswell. Still been trying to hold off this 13 of Cedric Hunter, who's been really aggressive trying to get to the inside of that 81. Hasn't been able to get that pass done for himself, but then being taking it easy, kind of like he was talking about, just trying to keep it straight off the corners, save that right rear tire so he can have something on this long run and maybe get around a couple of these drivers in front of him that might be being too aggressive here early on.
Yeah, he's trying his best at this point to keep himself focused, head down, keep moving forward, and he's got a couple of good opportunities trying to get by Jonathan Cogswell, Christopher Norris. They're trying to stay in line and for position. The 38 fighting here tonight for every position possible. Christopher Norris, if you watch any of our other broadcasts, has made it to the Final 4 on Monday night's coverage of the ISRC Truck Series. Their championship race will be this Monday. You have not watched any of the ISRC Truck Series. Norris, a lap last corner pass to get him into the Final 4. And I think he's just trying to learn that aggressive driving and see if he needs to translate this over into Monday night.
Yeah, and we saw for those that watched last Monday, the aggression level that he had to take to make it to that Final 4, doing everything that he needed to do. And then here tonight, aggression's fine. Oh, we got another caution.
And it's the 82 of Bob Skinner. Slow. So he's having issues trying to get back up to speed. There's another self spin. He's had another caution here this evening. And now we were only able to stay green for about 10 laps of green flag racing there. Curious on who's going to take the opportune chance to come into pit road this time, or does everyone stay out?
So you've already used 2. Aaron's used 3. I think it's a little bit early in the run to come down and take another set of tires. We'll see.
And we're at the halfway point. I would imagine some of these drivers wouldn't take one, because I would imagine most of the field's not going to. Aaron for sure is not taking one.
No, maybe somebody in the back half of the top 10. Cedric, Justin, Tom, maybe to get off sequence and see if we get a long green flag run. But again, trend's been about 20 to 30 laps before we get a caution. Risky call if anybody takes it, but we'll have to wait and see as everybody's caught the pace car now, and we'll see if anybody makes that trip down pit road.
This will be everyone currently right now up front, staying to that second groove, not showing any signs of pit road being an option. One was thinking about it. Looks like a lot of faking movements of pit road stops. The only driver that will come into pit road going to be the 2 drivers in the back, being Richard Wolsifer and James Hackworth Jr. going to be coming into pit road.
Yeah, not a bad call from them. Come down pit road, see if they get 4 fresh tires here. Maybe can get themselves a little bit further up into the field, into the top 15. Maybe into the top 10 on these fresher tires. Because it looks like it's going to be fuel only there for the 23 of Hackworth Jr. So maybe going to try to go a little bit longer on this run. Not sure if Richard got tires or not on his machine, but interesting call just to get a little bit of a splash of fuel here and go a little bit longer than everybody else.
Well, I know Richard on that last restart, I think he bounced off the outside wall off the exit of turn 2 and went very close to the inside wall off the exit. I think he might have been just wanting some repairs done to make sure that he's completely repaired with any optional damage. So 56 is good, back running, and we still have 18 drivers on the lead lap currently. Larry Yingling leading the way with Zach Hall, Brian Johnson, Ryan Bird, and Brandon Colley going to be your top 5 currently. 6th is Eric Crawley, Christopher Norris 7th, Jonathan Coxwell 8th. 9th goes to the 81 of Steven Stimpian and Cedric Hunter. Your top 10 here tonight. Lights are off, and we're about to get back to green flag racing here this evening as we're on lap 69. Trevor, certainly we're past halfway now for these drivers. Might be a nice time for a lot of them to make the decision of getting a little bit more aggressive if you haven't already.
Yeah, well, I think we'll see on these restarts, especially if we keep getting them, the aggression level going up. We've kind of seen how hard it has been to make passes. We've seen people not be afraid to use the bumper to make some passes, so this is going to be interesting. And if you're Zach Hall, I'd be a little bit careful. You know, the guys around you haven't been afraid to rough up one another, and certainly probably not going to be afraid to rough you up as well, but doing what he needs to do right in between Larry and Brian Johnson to preserve his points lead. But we'll see what happens here on this restart.
As the drivers see the pace car pull off, it's time for us to get back to green flag racing here in New Hampshire. And Larry Yingling, a great launch for the 67. Zach Hall caught sleeping there on that restart, but the 42 trying to keep himself clear of Brian Johnson, and Ryan Bird getting aggressive here as you see the apex of the corner and off. It's going to be side by side for the drivers in third place as the rest of the field tries to aim for turn 3.
Yeah, it's still side by side for third. That battle's going to continue. Brian Johnson going to lose that spot now to the 49 of Ryan Bird. Colley gets clear of Christopher Norris and Aaron Kralik, who are still battling side by side. Johnson's going to try to get back to the inside of Ryan, not going to be able to do so. Aaron not quite clear of the 38 of Norris as they're going to continue their little battle down here into 1 and 2. Norris almost gets into the door of the 01. He's going to check up, and that's going to check up the 81 of Steven Stimpy, who's trying to battle with the 27 of Jonathan Cogswell.
With the drivers stuck side by side in these two separate walls, Steven Stimpian was at the mercy of Christopher Norris. If Norris couldn't complete that pass, had to hold up, but they're all going to get stacked up with the accordion effect on the entry of turn 3. Norris moves up, Cogswell moves up, and that's going to be 2 positions for Steven Stimpian, who moves into 7th place as the rest of the field trying to gather themselves entering turn 1, but certainly showing if everyone's in the same line, easily can accordion up and have these drivers stacking on top of one another.
Yeah, and it all started with Aaron Kralik almost running over the back of the one of Brandon Colley that started that whole stack up there. And good job by everybody keeping it off one another as Cogswell almost gets into the back of Christopher Norris. Is going to check up the 27 machine and allow Justin Lewis to get to his inside. Tom Sinchek there as he's still trying to recover through the field. He's up to 12th and just watching all this chaos in front of him unfold.
Tom Sinchek has not been on the up-and-up movement style like we've been seeing. That is Steven Stimpian, who's been willing to get aggressive, and his 8 machine qualified 2nd, was up front, got spun around. He was the initial driver that got tapped and spun on the first restart of this race. And I would imagine he's not in the most free-flowing spot to be in because he's watching this aggressive driving from Cogswell and Justin Lewis. As Cogswell gets loose off the exit of the corner, forces the 8 to dive it down low, and Justin Lewis, loving the fact that he was able to make that pass.
Yeah, didn't have to fight the 27 as much. Now it's going to be the 8 of Sinchek who's going to have to fight Justin Lewis and take that, I would think, not the preferred line on the bottom, as you can't really keep the momentum up. But Cogswell, again, with a little bit of looseness out of turn number 2, it's going to allow the 8 of Sinchek to get by. And Sam, 1 car now in between Sinchek and the driver that sent him into that spin of Christopher Norris. Will there be a little bit of retaliation from the 8 to the 38? We'll have to wait and find out once he gets to the bumper of the 38 of Christopher Norris.
Retaliation in WSSR? That would be historic to see as the 8 trying to find his way forward. But I got to say, for the 7 as well as the 91, Martin Morales, it's good to see him trying to make these moves forward, as we haven't really talked about Martin Morales much this race. The 91 running his Ken Block tribute schemed machine here this evening. The 91 machine getting a good idea of how these drivers up front are racing. And I got to say, with the fact that he was able to follow Tom Sinchek as much as he was able to learn a couple of things on how to tackle this course.
Yeah, not a bad driver to follow at all is Tom Sinchek, with how quick we typically see him be here at New Hampshire. But Martin just having a nice quiet race for himself back here in 14th position, up 3 spots from where he qualified. Just making a little bit of ground up as he tries to catch up to the 7 of Corey Ennis and the 27 of Jonathan Cogswell, but slow and patient for this 91 machine here 76 laps into the race.
Currently tied for his best finish this season in 14th. His other 14th finish was Talladega. So we'll be very much grateful to see a good finish here for himself. He's seeing some movement of drivers having to go to the 3rd lane. He got on board the 27, Jonathan Cogswell. He was right back to round number 2 of trying to get by Justin Lewis.
Yeah, this time on the bottom of the 07 of Lewis instead of the outside. We'll have to see if he can do a little bit better job of keeping that car going in a straight line as he almost gets up into the 07 of Justin Lewis there through turn number 4, and not going to be able to complete that pass. Going to have to try to set it up again and see if he can get back around that 07 machine. As Sinchek was able to clear. Now he's going to chase down the 38 of Christopher Norris. This battle continues behind him, and now that's going to bring the 7 and the 91 into picture as those two continue to try to figure out who's going to get where. But Cogswell again with a little bit of looseness out of turn number 2.
Justin Lewis as well, almost bouncing off the wall. He had to really yank the wheel over to the left to make sure he did not smash that outside wall. As each driver's 78 laps in, looking at the last lap times that are clocking through. Tom Sinchek running just as fast as our leader, but the fastest vehicle on track, it's second place runner of Zach Hall, who is just keeping himself close. And I gotta say, Trevor, this is incredible to see by the 42. He might have a chance to actually fight for the win here this evening.
Yeah, he might have something for Larry here. Didn't show a lot of pace in the early portions of this race, but now that he's up to second, got that track position, showing that that 42 machine does have some speed in it as he's keeping up with our race leader, Ryan Bird, there as well. Brian Johnson not far off as our top 4 pretty well within 1 second of one another.
On top of one another, Ryan Bird has shown that he's willing to use his fenders, but let's give it another restart. His driver wrecked, and it was Mar Morales who spun around.
The curse of the commentator. We were praising the 91, and he goes spinning through. It looks like the center of turn 1 and 2. Doesn't look like he got into the fence, though, in that 91 machine. Maybe just another one of those self-spins there, and again, around that 30-some-odd lap mark on these tires where we start seeing drivers have issues.
And it looks to be, again, self-spinning for the 91 machine, who goes into the corner here, tries to be aggressive, and just locks up the tires. And just a weird spot. It just looks like maybe he shifted down maybe too soon and just looped the sucker around.
Yeah, it might have been the case for him, or maybe a little bit too much rear brake in it. When he jabbed the brakes, it just sent it spinning for himself, but does a really good job getting it locked down, keeping it out of the wall. But here's another caution, and this should bring all our leaders down pit road for another pit stop.
And coming into pit road as the 1 machine of Brandon Colley staying out here, as well as Christopher Norris. The reasoning why I could imagine for the 1, at least get a lap left, keep himself getting a bonus point here. That is the major thing I could see for Colley. As again, he is one of our drivers inside. He's 4th in points. Every point's so crucial, especially in the fact that Zach Hall hasn't led a lap. This is at least a point that's going to allow him to close in just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Norris stays out as well. Cogswell, Corey Ennis all stay out. Be interesting to see if they all come down pit road this second time by, as Larry's going to win the race off pit road. Looks like Ryan's going to beat Zach off pit road, and Zach Hall going to lose 1 position on this pit stop. But this restart with those 4 drivers, if they elect to stay out, could make this restart very, very interesting for these drivers.
Oh, are they going to run with those 4 drivers? Because I'm imagining they're not coming into pit road. If you're staying out, it is 2, you're expecting another caution, and you're hoping that at least you're going to stay on the lead lap when that next yellow comes out. You'll have the tire advantage on coming into pit road. And Aaron Kralick's already used his last set. I mean, this is tough spot for the 0-1.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't stay out with everybody. I was thinking about that. Everybody just made their 3rd pit stop. Aaron made his 4th. So he made his first pit stop to take tires on lap 10. So Aaron's out of tires here on lap 83. I mean, interesting decision by the 01.
Oh, that is such a tough. I mean, taking those first set on lap 10, it was a gutsy call, but that means that you cannot follow what the rest of the field's doing. At some point, you had to be the difference in the middle of this race. Now he's stuck with this set with over 50 laps. I mean, with 50 to go now, once we go back to green flag racing. And we haven't seen anyone stay out with longer than 35, 38 lap old tires. So Aaron's going to be the guinea pig for us for the rest of this race, as everyone else still has 1, maybe 2 sets of tires to work with. And this restart could be the most dramatic one of them all. It's Brandon Colley leading the way as we're back to Green Flag Racing for that of the Ramrod 140 here at New Hampshire. Into turn 1, cross your fingers that we make it out of the corner.
Yeah, Colley with a great jump. Norris gets a good clear there. Larry's going to go to the inside, but they're stacking up behind him. Zach Hall in it, but he's going to keep it straight.
Oh no, it's going to be Johnson, Steve Stippian sliding through, and everyone's just slowing down, slowly making their way through all of that. And somehow, through all that craziness, they kept it straight, and we stay green.
Another more calamity on a restart out of turn number 2. We stay green. And Brian Johnson now, the biggest loser in all that. Zach Hall picked up a little bit of damage, but he's able to keep it straight and going as he's still in 5th position. And now, I mean, once he gets through these cars on older tires, he's going to be right behind that of Larry Yingling again. So Zach Hall survives the chaos in front of him and lives to continue.
And battle for the lead about to be underway because Larry Yingling has already made all the passes. He's about to get by that of Brandon Colley, and Colley gets the lead a couple of laps. The 67 expected to make this push to the inside here, either on the exit of this corner. I mean, look at that speed difference. He is already on the back bumper. Larry Yingling showing what fresh rubber allows you to do. You can just gas up the throttle so much earlier than the other drivers on 20-plus old tires. Expect the pass here on the exit of the corner, setting up for an outside move as Larry gasses it up, but again, defensive move. Colley holds on for now.
Colley holds on, but here comes Larry with the crossover move halfway down the front straightaway. He's going to look to the inside here in 1 and 2, and this should be a pretty easy pass for Larry. Colley's going to do everything he can to try to hold on, but not going to be able to do so as Larry gets back to the lead spot. Zach Hall able to get around Cogswell, now doing battle with Christopher Norris there for 3rd place. He's going to get that pass done, so now just puts Brandon Colley between him and the 67 machine.
And for Zach Hall, hoping more drivers maybe would have been able to stay in this race. That field has shrunk. Tyler Dangler, internet issues that he's been struggling with for the past week, strikes again. The 19 not able to finish out this race. And Richard Wolfsburg has just pulled it into pit road and has called it a night for the 56 machine. But Zach Hall closing in with Brian Johnson, who was 2nd in points coming into the night. Struggling now, caught up in that issue. This is going to make this playoffs wide open for Larry Yingling and Zach Hall to just turn this playoffs into a duel.
Yeah, I mean, I think if this stays green, knock on wood, which I don't think it will based on our trends here tonight, Brian Johnson's going to be in a difficult spot for the rest of this race. Zach Hall, Larry Yingling very well could turn this just into a 2-horse race for the last 3 races of this chase format. But the other big winner in all of this, Tom Sinchek in the 8 machine up to 5th, make that 4th as he gets around Christopher Norris and just has to get past Brandon Colley. He's back up into 3rd place.
And those both Christopher Norris and Tom Sinchek over the radio when that pass was made. Tom not happy with Christopher Norris cutting down and looking like he was blocking and chopping off the 8's bumper. Got loose over the radio and was trying to calm down maybe any frustrations that could have been mounting up as the 38 sitting duck getting out of the way. The 1 as well about to be a sitting duck. We'll see the 1 probably move high as actually Colley fighting and defending. He is not laying over for these drivers on fresh rubber.
No, he hasn't been laying over for these guys. He's going to try to defend here from the 8 of Sinchek. A little bit of contact, but Tom gets the pass done, and Colley doing everything he needs to do to try to stay up here with these guys on these older tires and not doing a bad job of it for himself. I mean, 4/10 slower than the guys around him on new tires, but doing a great job with this defense as he's falling back to 4th and now might lose the 5th position here to Cedric Hunter, who's quickly closing in on him.
And the big thing for Colley that's allowing him to at least keep a half a lap with these drivers and slowing them down and just banking on a caution flag to come out is the fact on the exit of the corners, he's just getting a small rear bumper in front of the noses, not allowing them to keep their speed off the exit of 2, but the exit of 4 kept high, and now the rest of the field making the train. And the 1 defended as much as he could, but now just going to have to fall backwards and bank on a caution flag to be thrown. A lot of our usual suspects that kind of we would circle up and say, hey, they have potential of bringing out a yellow for a self spin. A lot of them have called it a night. So we could be seeing this race. There's that chance of it running green all the way through. And those that went with the gutsy call of staying out, this might backfire for themselves, which if this race stays green, the 0-1 of Aaron Crawley has lucked into this position as he makes the pass over the 1.
Yeah, I think for the drivers that stayed out there, so Brandon Colley, Christopher Norris, and those guys that didn't come down pit road, I want to say they need a caution probably in the next 10 laps or so for this pit strategy to work out for them. Otherwise, I mean, if it goes any later than that, I think it'll bring the rest of the field down for their final pit stop and can really, hurt those guys. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Is it looks like everybody's now single filed out and just kind of running this run out.
Running this run out, and this could be our last opportunity to bring out a commercial break. So we're going to take this opportunity now. Thank you so much for watching here tonight on Saturday night. You're watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. It's the playoff race. It's our second of 5 for the Chase Factor. As it is, you're watching the Ramrod of 140 at New Hampshire. We're going to go side by side so you don't miss a thing. We'll be back right after this.
I think I watched Josh 3 or 4 times before I ran the car. He killed them every race, and it was like stout fields, like good cars, big races, and I mean, he was unbeatable. And I was like, oh man, this is, like, I'm nervous. I was so nervous getting into the car full time this year after watching Josh win 3 or 4 races straight. These cars, they have a lot of horsepower now. They have over 500, and I think 5 years ago they didn't have 450. They're gonna be a handful to drive, but just don't overdrive them. Let the car do the work.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series action. It is the second race of the playoffs of 5 that will be ran here. The next 3 races going to be Iowa, the 2008 configuration of Atlanta, and Homestead will finish out the season. But the drama certainly has piled up. Another restart of carnage flying that has scattered a lot of drivers on where they're at. Some on old tires, some on new. And Ryan Bird is fed up of being behind that of the 13 of Cedric Hunter. Another tap at 13's back quarter panel as he holds steady and just being a wall is that of the 13. Well, thank you again for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart. And Trevor, it is getting a little mixy out there. As for that 4th place, Cedric Hunter, if we're going to see a caution, it might flirt out from here.
It very well could be. I mean, Ryan's been kind of frustrated here behind Cedric these last couple of laps. He's watched Larry, Zach, and Tom all just kind of drive away from these guys. But Ryan just can't get past this 13 machine. Almost gave up a position there to the 81 of Steven Stimpian, who's right on the rear bumper as the battle continues. And it's a four-car battle here between Cedric, Ryan, Steven, and Aaron Kralik, as they're all on top of one another trying to figure out who's going to get this 4th place position.
4th place, crucial if you are Cedric Hunter. That's going to keep him still and a very far distance chance to fight for a championship with 3 races to go, but at least would keep him in hand. Ryan Bird comes in 7th in points, and he's 19 points off of Zach Hall, and it's a little bit out of his reach. Steven Stimpian, as he has been making his charge forward, battling side by side with Aaron Kralik. Oh no,
it's Brandon Colley.
Colley spins around for the 1. The old tires give out, and the late caution that Aaron Kralik did not want strikes here tonight with 20 laps to go.
It was almost a 2-car wreck between Colley and Brian Johnson. They were both loose in turn number 1, both pretty much half spun, and then it just snapped around on the 1 of Brandon Colley, sent him into the outside wall, and heavy contact with that outside wall for the 1 of Brandon Colley.
Very odd wreck. If we get the replay up for these drivers, it's the 1 as well as that of the 28. They were dealing with the lap car of Corey Ennis that was trying to get by them. And this is changing everything for these drivers, as Larry Yingling, Zach Hall, all going to be able to come into pit road, except for 1 driver. Eric Kralik has no more sets of tires to work with. The 01's going to have to stay out, but this is what brought out the caution flag. You see the 7, he pitted in the middle of this cycle. He's got the freshest tires out of anyone. He's forcing the issue going 3 wide, which for Brian Johnson, an angle he wasn't expecting to have. And for the 1, Trevor, just having the 7 right on the quarter panel, losing a little bit of that downforce, and that's what whips him around.
Yeah, you see he just had to drift up a little bit, tried to keep it off. The 7 machine starts to lose it. You see Brian starting to lose it behind him, and then right here, as Brandon tries to catch the car, it just catches traction and just shoots him back up into the outside wall, and just heavy nose contact for Brandon Colley into that outside wall. Brings out the caution here, and not the caution that Aaron wanted to see, but we'll see what he can do on these older tires as everybody comes down pit road for fresh tires. It's actually going to be him and James Hackworth Jr. that also stayed out in that 23 machine. So 2 drivers on old tires up here at the front.
And I've been trying to keep up with the chat, as there's been a lot of good conversations going on down there. And a lot of them said, if we get another late caution, which I agree with them, chaos could be coming. And I'm expecting full-blown chaos with some of the drivers that are up front. James Hackworth Jr., though, backing out, heads into pit road. I think that's a smart play by the 23, as he was trying to stay out potentially to get some positions. Instead, going to be taking his 4 tires and fuel and heading to the back of the line. Corey Ennis, because he officially didn't make contact, he'll also get the lucky dog spot, and the 7 will be back on the lead lap, giving us 16 drivers ready to take off, with Aaron Kralik leading the way. Old tires versus new. And if you're Zach Hall and also Cedric Hunter, I think at this point you got to be banking on, will the 01 be in front of me, or will he be on the outside?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what line Aaron's going to take here. Does he cover? Does he go to the inside? Does he go to the outside? And what happens here on this restart? Because it could allow Zach to have a little bit better of a chance, depending on what line the 01 takes. But we'll have to wait and see. And will we see more calamity on this restart with a car on old tires?
As the laps are ticking away, we're about to get ourselves ready. 20 to go for this race, as it's going to be less than 20 when we finally get green. This field, restarts have been chaotic, but when we've seen the biggest drivers being influenced in a wreck, we have yet to see a yellow. I think that's been the most interesting thing. It's been a lot of self spins that have brought out the official yellows for this race. 6 cautions officially. But Trevor, if we get a big one that finally collects the field and the yellow flag comes out, that's another caution. Could be even more dramatic than this one we're about to see.
It could be, and it could all start right up here at the front, and this could have some implications. I mean, Zach Hall's right here behind the 01 of Aaron Kralik. Larry's going to have a good chance to clear Aaron with him starting on the outside along with Cedric Hunter. I mean, a little bit of impatientness with the car on old tires in front of you. We could see this inside line stack up. It could cause some issues. I mean, Tom Sinchek's there as well. Steven Stippian on that inside line. We're going to have to wait and see as the pace car is getting ready to pull off. We're getting ready to go back green flag racing.
Pace car is off. The Ramrod 140 here at New Hampshire is back to green flag racing. The flagman's went to the green flag. Eric Kralick's already going to be clear. Larry is clear. Larry now ducking it down low, blocked by the 01. And late apex, trying to figure out where they're going to go, but Larry gasses it up, holds the yellow line, and the 67 trying to fully clear, but he takes the lead. He's gone. Zach now has to set up for the pass here immediately.
And Zach was really aggressive there through 1 and 2, was able to get past it was contact between teammates. The 49 of Bird into the outside wall, and the 07 goes spinning. Cautions back out.
Justin Lewis, Ryan Bird, and it's Lewis's spin that officially brings out the yellow flag, but that was a hard contact for Ryan Bird, slamming to the outside wall, and that is required damage for the 49. Teammate on teammate violence here late in this race.
And something you don't see from the late apex drivers is them getting involved with an incident between the two of them. And right there, Tom just moved his teammate up out of the way, and now required damage for Ryan Bird. And then the 07 Justin Lewis and all that stack up gets spun around. That's what brings out the caution. But little teammate on teammate crime there. As you can see right there, Tom just drifts up just a little bit. Ryan tries to catch it. Hard contact to the outside wall. I believe it was a tap from Brian Johnson that sent the 07 of Justin Lewis spinning around. And thankfully nobody gets caught up in that spin as well, but we get to stack it up and do it all over again.
And I was really looking at that incident also. We didn't get to see it in the picture, but it looked like for that Tom Sinchek, he recognized that Ryan Bird was coming down. He tried to back up, but actually got hit in the rear bumper by Steven Stampian that kept the 8 where he was, and the contact was made between the teammates and forcing Ryan Bird into pit road, where he's going to have to sit there and get required damage, hoping that maybe it's a small, minimal, just 30-second broken toe length and get fixed and back out there on track, as well as Justin Lewis into pit road to get their damage repaired. Quick and simple repairs for Justin Lewis. He's back out on track. Ryan Bird, though, still sits in pit road, but up front, fresh rubber, going to be your top 3. Eric Kralik, he'll be starting in 4th, and that is the worst place to be for this restart.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the hornet's nest for Aaron, not where he wants to be. But we'll have to wait and see how it's going to play out for Zach Hall, Larry Yingling, Cedric Hunter. I'm sure they're breathing a sigh of relief that they were able to get around to Aaron before we got that caution, and they can restart in front of him. But it's going to be Sinchek, Stimpy, and Morales, Bob Skinner, Brian Johnson, and Brandon Colley that are going to be the ones that you kind of got to watch out for on this restart with Aaron starting in front of them.
A lot of these drivers up front set up and want to get rolling. I kind of want to get a quick thoughts here as we're about to get back to green flag racing from Tom Sinchek, because he'll be starting in 5th place, and get his thoughts on this restart because he was caught up in that mess. But how will he feel about this restart? 8 Machine, Tom Sinchek. It's Sam and Trevor up at the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Well, Tom, I know you didn't want to hit your teammate like that. Kind of got squeezed into that situation. Well, you've had a great recovery run that has set you up for a chance for a good finish. How are you feeling here tonight, getting ready for this restart?
It feels good. I think I still got like a minute left, but it doesn't feel like I lost any speed or anything like that. But yeah, that was unfortunate. It seemed like a little bit of a domino effect. What happened with me and Ryan there, and then there was a little bump in the back. It was just a bunch of stuff that happened. I don't think anybody's like mad about it really, but yeah, it was unfortunate. We made our way back up here, but we made our way back up because we somehow made it through a gigantic wreck. It really scared the hell out of a lot of people, but we were able to squeeze through and take advantage of it. We were pretty good on old tires, so we're hoping to do that again, but not with this. I think it's only like 15 laps to go. We'll see what we can do.
Well, Tom, we're getting lined up here to go back racing. I mean, we've seen calamity on the restarts, whether it be with drivers on old tires or just aggression on new tires. You got That of Aaron Kralik in front of you on old tires, I mean, what's going to be the key here on this restart?
Just pass him as quick as possible. I think he wanted to lead a lap. He did. So we're going to try and get by him real quick right here. We're going to push Cedric pretty hard on this restart right here. Going to try and get on his bumper pretty good.
Well, we can't wait to see how this restart goes, Tom, and hopefully we'll talk to you later on tonight. Good luck on this restart.
Yes, sir, guys. Thank you.
Well, that's the 8 machine from Late Apex Racing, Tom Sinchak, as he'll be the 3rd car on the inside. But Aaron Kralik, the 01 tied machine, 2nd on the outside. That is going to be the driver of note to watch out for. We know Larry should get a good restart. Zach should be able to keep decently close. But with old tires on Aaron Kralik, could he be the driver that can be the catalyst to bring out another mess? Here is it's going to be 14 laps to go. Here we go. Pace car's off. We're into the restart zone, and Larry Eagley going to be taking off, as well as Cedric Hunter. Thompson check did exactly what he wanted to do. He shoved the 13, now side by side with Kralik, as he's trying to keep himself in position, and that push by the 8 machine, it's now giving Cedric Hunter a chance for 2nd.
Yeah, gave him a chance for 2nd. Zach drove it in really hard into 1 and 2 to keep side by side with Cedric. He's actually going to clear him, and Tom now going to look to the outside of this 13 machine as he tries to pick up 3rd position. Not quite going to be able to, but gets a really good drive through the center of 3 out of 4. See if he can still be side by side with Cedric Hunter here down the front straightaway. Is Tom looking really racy here on this restart, trying to get this 3rd position away.
They're 3 wide. They were stacked 4 wide there on through 3 and 4. Bad bump by the 1. Going to be forcing the issue. Get Brian Johnson as he slides up to Christopher Norris, holding steady. These are drivers battling just to make it inside the top 10, and somehow they hold on. I don't know how they did. That should have been a wreck, but they keep together. These vehicles a lot more steadier than what we've seen in months past. New Hampshire, a lot of beating and banging as Christopher Norris slides by. As Bob Skinner, Kralik making contact off the exit.
Making contact. We're going to be 3 wide again. Is Kralik make contact? Kralik back to the racetrack. Oh, and calamity. Turn number
Corey Ennis, as well as Jonathan Cogswell in the 01 of Aaron Kralik, piled into this one, and we stack them up again. Oh, I mean, it was a boiling point at this. We were getting to that stage where there's so much bumping and banging going on. Someone was going to get caught up in a mess, and it's Kralik as well as Corey Ennis and Cogswell getting the worst of it as we get the replay set up. I mean, Trevor, that middle of the pack was chaotic, but here's what brought out the yellow.
Yeah, I mean, we saw 4 wide, 3 wide. I mean, and at New Hampshire, not a place where you can really get away with it. And I think it all just started with, Aaron got tight up near the wall. Collie tries to get to his inside. They kind of get stuck together. Aaron gets loose, tries to save it, and then just comes right back up in front of the 7 of Corey, who has nowhere to go. They bounce off the wall, and Cogswell just so close to making it through that. Gets clipped in the right rear by the rear end of the 01 of Aaron Kralik, sends him spinning into the outside wall. But heavy contact for the 01 and the 7.
7 of Corey Ennis has already taken his vehicle to pit road. You can see the front left broken, front right is well broken, and he had to tow it to pit road. Got there and called it a day, as he is just trying his best. And when you break a wheel, it is a done deal. You're not coming back out on the racetrack. But certainly, you hate to see it for Corey Ennis, who had a couple of high moments, a lot of low moments, and he'll finish 16th here this evening as Jonathan Cogswell hits pit road. And Aaron Kralik, even though he was involved and saw the absolute brutal wreck that the 7 took, he's still able to stay out on track and currently in 14th, has yet to go into pit road for repairs.
Yeah, hey, I mean, only can lose essentially 1 spot to Cogswell, so might as well stay out on track, see what happens. In front of him is playing around here with Ryan Bird under caution, giving him a couple of little bumps here and there, but I mean, nothing to lose for Aaron by staying out, so why not continue to just stay out here?
As the drivers get ready for the restart and picking on what lane they want to be in, kind of want to talk to some of these front runners, get their thoughts on it. Driver that's been leading all night long, that of Larry Yingling, curious on his thoughts on how this race has been going. Let's pull up to 6-7, see if we can cue him up. Larry, it's Sam and Trevor up the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Well, you've been leading and dominating here tonight. How is the car feeling, and how are you feeling about this restart?
The car feels pretty good. Honestly, it feels like I'm driving a Gen 6 car or another stock car that I'm used to. So it feels pretty nice. I think these restarts are hurting me. I think the line and just how I get on throttle, I'm built for the longer run. So I think this should definitely be pretty close.
I mean, Larry, you've seen kind of a lot of change behind you, but Zach Hall's been pretty consistent on keeping up with you. Got any strategy to hold off that 42, or are you feeling pretty confident in these last 9 laps that you can defend this race lead?
I don't know. I know he's going to be right there the whole time. So I just hope whatever happens, I get lucky.
Well, we hope for the best for you, Larry. We'll send you back to your team, but good luck here tonight, and hopefully we'll be talking to you in victory lane.
Thank you.
As that's going to be the 67 of Larry Yingling, and getting prepared for that. And I mean, I got to say, Trevor, that's interesting that he feels like the restarts is his weakness. He feels like the long run's been his strength, because from an outside point of view, it feels like it's been the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, he's been so good on these restarts at timing them really well to get a good jump on everybody around him. So I'm right there with you, surprised in him saying that. And we're gonna have a 7-lap shootout, so not a long run by any means. So we'll see if Zach Hall has anything for him. But I think Larry, if he times this restart well, gets a good jump and they get to fighting behind him, should be in a good position.
And will we see the drivers absolute take each other out here this evening, or could we see drivers play it nice? Zach Hall frustrated on the fact that he lost last week's race when he felt like it was his to lose. And will Larry Yingling be able to defend, absolutely dominating here tonight? He got the bonus point for leading a lap, leading the most laps, and now trying to take the last bonus point, which is winning a race to close in the gap for the championship. As green flag is back out in the air, 7 laps to go for the Rod Ram 140 here at New Hampshire, and Zach Hall got swamped. Tom Sinchek gets the pass, and Steven Stippian now going to be set up for 3rd place.
Yeah, it's going to be that battle for 3rd now. Zach pinching the 81 machine, trying to hold on to this 3rd place. Looks like he's going to do so. Almost a little bit of contact down the back straightaway. But Tom with a great restart, able to jump the 42. Oh, as Stippian gets into the side of Zach, moves him up the racetrack. Brian Johnson to the inside of Cedric Hunter. He's back up to the front of the field as this battle for 3rd continues down the front stretch.
Brian Johnson at one moment was all the way back in last place, thought he was going to have the biggest loss on points. Well, after how tonight's running, he might be still in the fight as he gives almost a bump to Steven Stippian, trying to woo the 81 to get by Zach Hall. So then he's got a chance to move the 42 back. Zach Hall cannot afford to lose 3rd place. He needs to make this pass, 6 laps to go, and Larry Yingling is trying to hold off the rest of the field.
Needs to hold on here, but might lose a spot as he gets a little bit sideways, gets into Brian Johnson. He's going to lose the spot to Brian Cedric, the 38 of Norris, the one of Brandon Colley's there. This is huge for Zach Hall as he tries to hold on. More contact made with Christopher Norris as Colley looks to the inside. Zach, this is not what he needed to have happen here, Sam, as he's loose out of turn number 2, and that allows the one of Colley now to his inside.
And drivers behind going to be making contact as Mark Morales, after a bad bump off of Ryan Bird's bumper, sends the 91 to the outside wall. They stay green and clean. The 91 has a broken toe length, though. He's going to struggle to get to pit road as the drivers still getting aggressive for 5th place. Cedric Hunter and Christopher Norris, they're beating and banging off one another, but Zach Hall, biggest loser, from 2nd back to 7th, and the 42 needs to find a way to take some of these positions back. 4 laps to go for Larry Yingling.
Running out of time, but Colley gets loose out of 2. That's going to allow Zach a little bit of breathing room as Colley's going to lose that position now to Justin Lewis. And in front of him...
Or Willie! Tap to Justin Lewis, sends the one to the outside wall, almost bringing out a yellow there. And watch out behind, Ryan Bird still aggressively trying to take these spots as Cogswell holds steady, but Cogswell's trying to get clear, finally does for them 49. Oh, I don't know if we are going to be able to finish out this race. Zach Hall gets slipping and sliding, trying to make a pass on Christopher Norris. We stay green with all the chaos so far. 3 laps to go.
And that's going to bring Bob Skinner and Justin Lewis into the picture here. Zach's going to try to defend this. And I mean, if he loses these 2 spots here, Sam, this could be catastrophic for his chances at winning a title, with Larry getting all these bonus points and Zach hemorrhaging positions here at the end of the race as Skinner and Lewis almost get together. 2 laps to go, and if we get a caution before we get the white flag, this could really shake things up. And this might be the position we see it with Bob Skinner, Justin Lewis battling each other hard.
Trying to battle one position could force Zach from being tied for the points and the championship to being a 1 point back from Larry Yingling. And Larry Yingling, what a season he's had of growing as Bob Skinner sends it down low. A great dive bomb move. Here comes the crossover move, though, by Justin Lewis. And behind them, it's Cogswell. Caution flag comes out. We don't get the white flag. And Larry needs to survive another restart.
Oh, that had to have been inches
The white
away
flag was up. He was literally just that of 100 feet away.
Oh, so close for Larry getting the white flag and the win. I mean, oh, and this is not saying this could be detrimental for Zach. Another restart. I mean, he gets to start on the inside, but that 42, those last 5 laps was at an absolute boat anchor.
Hey, drivers are confused because officially when you come out of turn 4, the white flag is flying for them. So they're thinking, okay, white flag is given, but Larry Yingling never crossed the line to officially take the white flag. It was Cogswell that was already spun around with James Hackworth Jr. being the oncoming traffic that threw out the yellow literally 10 feet away from the line.
Yeah, looking at it, I mean, it is so close to this race being done, but green white checkered attempt here, 1 of 3, and we might use all 3 with how we've seen these restarts be tonight, Sam.
Oh, this is it. If you're ticking tires in the back half of the field, this could help you out on this restart, give you a little bit of extra grip. Rest of the field, 22 laps on their tires. Most of the field has already taken all 4 sets. And, oh, man, I mean, I don't see drivers getting too aggressive on trying to take out Larry here. But for Tom Sinchek, Steven Stimpian, this is your favorite track. This is the track both of those drivers have circled, saying we want to win in New Hampshire, but they don't want to influence the championship. But do you want the win that you really wanted for this season? All the questions thrown out, and you don't know who's going to throw it down as the 3 drivers we've gotten to talk to here tonight, currently running 1, 2, 3.
I don't know what's going to happen. I honestly have no clue of what to expect on this restart. I can promise you Larry's probably going to get a good restart because he's had great restarts all night long, but it's going to be, does Tom get a good restart on the outside line? Does Steven time Larry's restart well and be close to his bumper? Because we've seen that outside line struggle all night long on these restarts. So what's going to happen? Then what's going to happen at the back half of the top 10? I mean, Cedric and Christopher were beating and banging on one another. Zach Hall was falling like a rock. He's got Bob Skinner, Justin Lewis, and Brian Bird, who's been aggressive all night long right behind him. And Sam, I mean, it's a 3-point gap between that of Larry and Zach right now. Actually, it might be closer than that on points based off of where they're running.
We are officially in overtime, as if Larry wins and Zach finishes where he's at right now, this should give Larry and Zach tied for the points lead out of this race. But you saw there, we went 2 to go, back to 3 to go. That is because we are officially in overtime. These drivers have 3 attempts if needed. The way that this race becomes official is if we get the white flag, that is an official race. The drivers will race it to the end. But if we get a yellow flag on this first lap, that will be bringing us to our second attempt. It's a green-white checkered, 2 laps to go. Once that green flag is thrown out, who is winning here at that of the Ramrod 140 at New Hampshire? Larry Yingling's been dominating this race. He's been up front leading almost every single lap. It's been the drivers that have tried different strategies that have led a couple, but I'm pretty sure Larry has led over 100 of our 139 so far ran. Tom Sinchek, Steven Stimpian, both caught up in a wreck on our first initial restart of this race as they have fought and clawed. Now, our top 3 that qualified in the top 3, they're back in their spots they started off in this race. Our first attempt at overtime is back to green flag racing. Larry Yingling gets a great launch. Tom Sinchek keeping it close. And here we go, Trevor, down into turn number 1.
Down into turn 1, Tom's going to be clear. He's going to try to close in. It's going to be Stimpian side by side with Johnson, who's a little bit loose. Norris going to try to force it 3 wide as he gets to the inside of the 28. Cedric Hunter now going to make it 3 wide, almost contact. Cedric spins in front of Zach, collects the 82 of Skinner. Zach goes around.
They keep on tapping and keeping each other straight. There's no oncoming traffic. No, there it is. We're going to overtime attempt number 2. Oh, they just kept on beating and banging off one another and sending it back and forth. And drivers are furious over the radio. Some dealing with damage. Hackworth Jr. required damage for himself. Jonathan Cogswell called it a night. And it is catastrophic meltdowns here this evening. We started with 19 drivers. We're down to maybe 13 on this next restart. But who knows? As we're going to take a look here, there were drivers spinning out even before we got to the initial wreck. Cogswell lost it on his own, but there's no oncoming traffic, so that wasn't going to bring out the caution. But we're getting the replay of what officially did as drivers scattered all around. Still our top 4 now, top 5 are exactly where they qualified. That's crazy to see how this is all lined up. So getting ready for our second attempt at overtime, but what a wreck, Trevor, as we take a look at this caution.
Yeah, I mean, it starts right here, 3 wide. Norris gets a little bit of a bump from Cedric Hunter, and it loosens the 13 up, and he tries to save it, but spins right in front of Zach, right in front of Bob Skinner, nowhere to go for the 82 machine. Zach's loose, trying to hang on to it, but he overcorrects it into the 49 of Ryan Bird, which shoots him back up the racetrack. The 07, I believe, there of Lewis caught up, but Zach just trying to save it, just can't do it, and then he's going to clip Justin here and send Justin hard into the outside wall. You see Cogswell spinning in the background as everybody tries to get through it, but just calamity on this restart. And for Zach, I mean, it's just been a meltdown for him last week and this week.
I mean, was running second with 20 laps to go, and it is just throw it out the window. Once again, another race where the last quarter of the race, it does not fall into Zach's hands. And he is just seeing this championship fall through his fingers. He got the regular season championship that allowed him to have the bonus points that was necessary. Vincent Sora, who was second in points, found himself not be able to race in the first race. So the points just kept on developing that it should have been Zach Hall at this point with maybe a 15-point advantage over the rest of the field. Instead, he could be coming at it tonight back in third in points.
He very well could be. I mean, Brian Johnson's up there in fourth. Larry, if he can hang on for what could be our last restart of the night, or a potentially second to last restart of the night, if he can hang on and win, is going to put him in the driver's seat of this championship. But Sam, I'm looking at it. Brandon Colley, I believe, took 4 fresh tires right before that first attempt at a green-white checkered. He's in 6th. He might have something to say before this race is over if he can get a couple spots and we get another attempt at a green-white checkered.
If he can grab 2 spots and then gets a other yellow that forces us into our third and final attempt, the 1 does have an opportunity with this fresh rubber, as he's got himself a 23-lap advantage over the rest of the field. But the problem is that the 1 machine is going to be stuck on the outside lane. That is not where you want to be on this restart. But we are, again, in our second attempt at overtime. The way it works, same as the last time. If we get the white flag, the race will become official. A yellow flag will not send us into our third attempt. But on this first lap, if a caution flag is thrown, we will go into attempt number 3, where attempt number 3 has slightly different rules than attempt number 1 and 2. You're up front, Larry Yingling, Tom Senchek, Steven Stimpian, Brian Johnson, Christopher Norris going to be your top 5. Brandon Colley, fresh tires, going to be in 6th place with Ryan Bird, Bob Skinner, Aaron Krolick, Zach Hall, and Mark Morales, who also has fresh rubber back in the field. These drivers up front, they're hoping that this race can stay green so the 1 doesn't have an opportunity to try to steal this one away. Colley, he needs to gain positions and hope for a yellow flag. Larry Yingling hoping for another fabulous launch that he doesn't have to worry about other drivers. Pace car is off. Our second attempt at overtime for that of the Ramrod 140 here in New Hampshire is back underway, and it's a fabulous launch for Larry.
It's a great start for Larry. Colley's going to clear the 38 of Norris. He's going to dive it to the inside of Brian Johnson. Stimpian's going to look to the inside of Tom Sinchek as they're going to be battling for seconds. It's exactly what Larry wants to see. Colley kind of just trapped here, nowhere to go on those fresh tires. They're still side by side for second. Now Sinchek's going to clear. Johnson's going to try to go for third place. Colley still with nowhere to go as they come out of 4. Larry looking for that white flag. Will he get it though as Colley drifts up just a little bit? Johnson's loose. He saves it as the white flag is out.
White flag is in the air. It's going to be your Roasted Gems Coffee white flag as they're heading down in turns 1 and 2.
And here we go. Larry Yingling with about 0.6 of a second gap over that of Sinchek. Colley up to third as he clears Stimpy, and he's now going to try to run down the 8 of Tom, but almost a little bit of contact down the back straight of Bailey, but it's all Larry Yingling through 3 and 4.
Larry Yingling, what a race, what a restart. The 67 up front. He is now going to become the points leader after winning 2 playoff races in a row.
What a start to the chase from Larry Yingling. And Sam, we talked about it. If he catches fire at the right time, he might be hard to beat with how consistent he is. And what better way to start it off than 2 wins in a row?
I felt like that was the talking point all season long was Larry might have some slip-ups. He's still learning this car. He's learning the tracks. He's been away from iRacing. But if Larry Yingling has figured out this car by the playoffs, it is all the 67 to go for his 3rd championship in the WSSR. And tonight has proven it to me, Trevor. This 67 is the biggest threat to watch out for, as Zach Hall will finish in 9th, Ryan Johnson will finish in 6th. Those are where your top 3 in points finish, and it's the 67 that is going to be your points leader after tonight. What a run for Larry as he gets to burn it down. Hey, I know for the chat, they're excited for this one. We are going to have our post-race show talking to our top 3, where we're going to talk to Larry Yingling, Tom Sinchek, and Brandon Colley. Who will be the spotlight driver? We'll find out. Stick away, as we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series action. What you're seeing on screen is the move of the race for the 67, getting by on a restart on Aaron Kralik, who's on old tires that set us up to go into overtime. Really shook everything up in the drama factor, and the 67 never looked back. He dominated, led most of the race. And based off our calculations, unofficially, Larry should become the leader in points after tonight. Larry Yingling and Sam and Trevor up at the booth. Congratulations, you are the winner here at New Hampshire.
Thank you. It definitely feels great. For a second, the next to last restart, Tom was on me, and I just knew something was going to happen. Then yellow came out, and another good restart. And I think on the last three starts, Norris was fifth, and Colley in sixth. I'm pretty sure both of them had fresher tires. So I knew I just had to do 2 Q laps and hope no one was close to me to do anything.
I mean, Larry, you take a couple of seasons off, you come back, brand new car, you're learning it throughout the season, you start the chase, 2 wins in a row, become the we believe by our math, the unofficial points leader by a point. I mean, how are you feeling with that, knowing that there's only 3 races left, with it being Iowa, Atlanta, and then I believe Homestead is the last race?
Oh, I feel good. I know it's not obviously not a championship winning moment, but considering the rest of the season, this could easily just go back to being 5th or 6th on track. So I just gotta keep just doing what I'm doing, and hopefully it works out.
Well, it certainly did work out there, Larry. Congratulations again on this win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
A big shout out to all my teammates in Discord tonight: Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, Brandon Colley, Steven Stempion, Christopher Norris, Bob Skinner, and James Hackworth. A huge thanks to Kevin Hashbrown. Me and him practiced some the last few weeks, and I definitely contribute last week's win fully from him, because he taught me a good line that I never would have figured out until green flag last week, and this week he definitely helped me out again. And shout out to James, Carolyn, DeAndre, and Levi Cox. Then my sponsors, Muffin Sports Cards and Port City Cards on Instagram. If you are in the hobby of collecting cards, make sure you check them out. Thank you guys for broadcasting, and looking forward to next week.
Yeah, wait for it, Larry. Congratulations on this win, and good luck next week.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that is the 67 of Larry Yingling, who looks like he is hitting his form that he had before he took his hiatus, but a driver that had a very different storyline. We got the 8 of Tom Sinchek with us. Tom, it's Sam and Trevor up at the booth. Man, what a race for yourself. Had to recover after that initial restart. We got to talk to you about the fact that you were figuring out those restarts for yourself. We thought maybe you had a chance on that second to last takeoff, but man, how are you feeling coming away with a second place out of all that?
Yeah, I'm satisfied. It almost feels like a win to come back from something so devastating, because I think we still had about 1 minute and 20 seconds left to repairs. That whole race, we didn't even get it all fixed. So we did take a couple huge bumps in that first one, but we felt like our long run pace was super, 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 super good. So as long as we could get a few of those in there, we knew we could probably make it back up, and we did, and it felt good. Yeah, I'm satisfied with that one.
I mean, Tom, like you said, went from the front to the back to the front, and I don't know, you had to survive a couple of scares in front of you on some restarts, but I mean, overall, what was it like driving through the field here tonight? And what was the car feeling like?
It felt really, really good on the long run. It was on the loser side, but it's just the egg under the throttle and give somebody else dirty air behind you, because it really is only a 1-lane track. So if you could just run your own race, and then you look back at the at who's behind you, it starts getting smaller and smaller on the long run. So we did pretty good there on the long run.
You did a great job there, Tom. Congratulations again on a second place finish. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, shout out to everybody. I know there's a couple cautions there at the end, but I wasn't really expecting to get some long green flag runs like that, but I can't wait to watch the broadcast later. Shout out to Late Apex, and shout out to everybody in here for putting on a good race.
Well, congratulations once again, Tom, for second place, and good luck next week at Iowa.
Thank you, sir.
Well, from second place, let's head down to third place. We got a fan favorite that the chat always loves to talk about. We got the one of Brandon Colley, and Brandon, what a run for yourself. You come away third. You're one of the few drivers that decided to take tires before the playoff fiasco went down. And how are you feeling coming away with third place there?
Well, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about third place, but I'm not feeling great about the fact that it was a lot of luck that got me there.
I mean, hey, luck's one thing, Brandon, but I mean, you made it back up there. We saw you have that spin in turn one that puts you hard into the outside wall, and you come down and take 4 fresh tires. I mean, were you hoping for a third attempt there, maybe at a green white checker to have something for Larry, or are you pretty content with the third place considering how the night was for you?
I mean, considering how it went, I would have loved to have had the third attempt. I feel like I could have at least gotten to Larry and maybe had the shot to bump him out of the way, but it just depends on how quickly maybe I was able to get around Tom. If Tom made a mistake and gave me a decent amount of time, I maybe could have got to Larry. But I would have liked to have had the chance. But I mean, I can't complain about third place after, like you said, being nose into the wall not too many laps ago.
Well, Brandon, I know that we got 3 more races left in the season. Still searching for that first win this season. What's the confidence level with these last 3 races, with it being Iowa, Atlanta 2008 configuration, and Homestead?
I mean, the confidence is pretty high. Even tracks that I don't feel very good at, especially this one here, I had pretty good pace when I didn't put myself off sequence to just try something different. And I was able to get a good finish, and that was my biggest concern. Iowa, not the biggest fan. I've won some official races there, but it's such a weird track, and especially with this next gen, the way it's kind of hit or miss at different tracks. I don't really know what to expect there. I've been told kind of what the balance is, but I'm hopeful for a good finish. The old Atlanta configuration is my all-time favorite racetrack, and I tend to be pretty fast there. And I've gotten a decent hang of Homestead, so I think if I have to circle one, it's going to be Atlanta. But I think I can get a good finish at any of the 3. And good finishes are what I need here. I made up a pretty decent chunk of points tonight.
Well, it certainly was a great night to watch you run here, Brandon. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
First off, I got to thank you guys for Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Sam, Trevor, Robert in the background doing a phenomenal job every week. Can't wait to go back and watch this one. Got to thank all these guys in the league. It was some hard racing here tonight, especially when we got these late cautions. I know a lot of guys are going to be upset about some contact and stuff, but that was some pretty fun late race, short track beating and banging. Got to thank the admins, of course. Got to thank all my teammates at Category 5 Esports for just the confidence and talking me through being frustrated and different things throughout a lot of different races. And I got to thank everybody in the chat that roots for me. I know Stimpion's dad. He's been cheering me on here and there, and I appreciate that. And I got to thank my parents for watching every race that I do in the chat. So thanks to them. And yeah, I think that's all I got.
Well, that is going to be the one machine of Brandon Colley coming away with third place finish. Congratulations on that, and good luck at Iowa next week.
All right, thank you guys.
Well, from third place, let's go to a spotlight driver. I know there was a lot of talking points of a lot of drivers having ups and downs, but let's talk to a driver that hasn't had a big up like this in almost over a year. We got Bob Skinner in the 82 with us. Bob has not gotten a top 10 since almost a year ago, and you're back here. I mean, Bob, how are you feeling coming away with an 8th place finish?
Nope.
Bob Skinner, you got us? I don't know if Bob may be having some issues. We're going to give you one more try. Bob Skinner, is your mic muted? Well, we are sorry, but we are not able to talk to Bob Skinner as he is having microphone issues. But I still wanted to give him a big old shout out because Bob Skinner was our biggest mover of the race. He was moved up 10 positions from where he started. His last top 10 was all the way back in June of last year and comes away with his first top 10 of this season. Big congrats to that of the 82 machine after also a lot of his ups and downs as he found himself in some self spins But again, congratulations to our top 3 that we got to talk with. And let's take a look at the unofficial results of tonight's race, because they were wild on how this race finished out. Batty used 2 attempts at overtime, and that was it. Stayed away from the third, and Larry Yingling was able to come away with the victory for the 67. Bob Skinner in second. Brandon Colley getting a third place finish for himself. Steven Stimpy and Christopher Norris finishing out your top 5, with Brian P. Johnson 6th, 7th Ryan Bird, Bob Skinner 8th, 9th is where Zach Hall falls to, and Cedric Hunter finishing out your top 10.
Eric Rawley down there in 13th after running out of tires on lap 81. Does a really good job to hold on for a top 15 finish. Martin Morales, who had a self-spin, gets himself a pretty good run there in 12th as well. Justin Lewis, after a couple of issues, getting caught up in the wreck that led to the second green-white checkered attempt in 11th. And then, further on the field, Tyler Dangler with the internet issues. Richard Wolfsburg had a broken toe link, called it a night. And then Vincent Sora, after the contact with that of Tom Sinchek in the first restart calamity that we saw here tonight that didn't bring out a caution, called it a night very early on, finishes all the way down in 19th. And Sam, it was just a wild race here tonight. We saw self-spins after about 30 laps, calamity on restarts, and then there at the end, I mean, it was no holds bars race, and what a wild results, or what a wild finish and results that we got here tonight.
And the playoffs are now closer than ever, as I just went from how last week was, looking at the points and the way everything was lining up, to Zach kind of fumbling the bag once again here tonight, falling and losing the massive points gap that he had. It has fallen into our top 5, all within 6 points of one another, and it's Larry Yingling 1 point ahead of Zach Hall, then Zach being 4 points ahead of Brandon Colley, and then Ryan P. Johnson, Tom Sinchek, both tied 6 points out from Larry Yingling. So close with one another. The rest of the field, a little bit of a further gap to work with. 17 points is the difference for Cedric Hunter and Christopher Norris that are tied at that of 6th and 7th in points. Everyone else a little bit too far back. They're going to need some massive falls. But Trevor, that makes me excited for these final 3 races. A 6-point buffer between 5 drivers. It is anyone's game on who's going to grab the Season 6 championship.
Anybody's game that it is. And I mean, we thought coming into the playoffs, knowing Vincent Sora was going to miss Kentucky, that Zach Hall was just going to be able to walk away with it. In 2 weeks in a row, he has just absolutely not been able to convert on good runs for himself. And Sam, I hate to say it, he might be choking away his chance to win a championship here with the performances he's put in. He's going to have to turn it around at Iowa. But I mean, we go to another short track at Iowa that these cars can be a real handful around. Then the tire-eating monster that is Old Atlanta and Homestead for the last 3 races with a 6-point gap between 5 drivers. I mean, this is going to be a wild last 3 races, and anything can happen.
You saw the beating and banging that forced us into overtime here tonight. Iowa, even a shorter track, faster at moments. It is going to be just as aggressive. You don't want to miss out. Then the last 2 races, Atlanta, going to be a wild one, as well as New Hampshire. It's going to be a fun rest of the season, and we cannot wait to take you on the rest of this journey. But if you want to see some more racing action before we get back to this utter chaos that's mounting in front of us, we cannot wait for it. But our next broadcast is going to be Monday night. It's the championship race of the ISRC Truck Series. And some of the drivers that were running here tonight in the fight. Christopher Norris is in the Final 4. If you want to cheer him on, say, hey, fight for the WSSR, go on and watch the race. That's going to be Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And as well, Tuesday night can be seen that of the Full Send Racing Series as they're inching closer and closer to their Final 4. And then Thursday night, championship racing for Stars and Stripes. Who's taking their championship? Cannot wait for it before right back here, Iowa. Trevor, it's a fun season to be watching racing. And we also have our charity race. It's going to be June 10th for that of our Gamer Outreach 600 around the corner as well.
I mean, you've got 2 champions that are going to be crowned this week. You've got the Full Send Racing Series that starts their second round back to Iowa. Here, next Saturday night, and then the Gamer Outreach charity race, the high horsepower, low downforce Gen 4 cars, 600 miles at Charlotte. I mean, it's gonna be a great end of this month, great start of next month, and I am looking forward to every bit of it.
Ton of great racing. Again, remember to subscribe, hit the bell notification, be notified when we go live on our next broadcast or content being posted, as it is a fun time to be watching racing. Playoff racing action is giving us the drama, but man, Captivate finished it off. Thank you for joining with us here tonight for Saturday for that of the Ramrod 140 at New Hampshire. Larry Yingling wins once again. Can he sweep the playoffs? Let's find out as our next broadcast for WSSR is at Iowa. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Trevor Earhart, Robert Moore Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us. We'll see you on our next Freaky Fast broadcast. Who wins the championship? Monday night, ISRC Truck Series. We'll see you then on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.